Always follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. Follow the Money, brought to you by ProfitX. Right now, King of March is giving you a shot at free trips worth up to $10,000 just for betting the tournament. Download the ProfitX app and use the code VSiNMM. Mitch Moss in Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. As always, Paulie Howard is out today. Mike Somich on the program for the full 3 hours. Doing a great job as always. We do have Major League Baseball beginning tonight. What a time, huh? The calendar, I mean, there's really never a slow time in the calendar anymore. And you don't even have time to get ready for some of these sports half the time. So here you go. I know we got the playoffs coming up in the NHL and the NBA. The Masters are around the corner. March Madness. Here's opening day. You know, here's the Masters coming up as well. And the NFL draft. But it's great. This is some of the best. You know, I'd say March and April pretty much as good as it gets. As good as almost October, November, in my opinion, Mike.
Oh, yeah, it's a great time of the year to be a sports fan. It is missing football. That, for me, makes it really tough. I love football, betting football so much. November still wins out for me from the best gambling month. But if you take away football, this is clearly the best time for the smorgasbord of sports betting. I mean, you mentioned the NFL draft. We've got NFL futures props popping up now. We got the win totals. We've got divisional numbers. Everything you could want there. We kick off baseball tonight. NHL, NBA, obviously coming down to the playoffs. Then March Madness as well. So it's a great time of the year to be a sports bettor. I'll still take November because I like football so much. But outside of the football season, this would be the month to pick. Yeah, you got me. I can't disagree with that at all. I was looking at playing the game tonight from a Logan Webb perspective, and I would have played over 5.5 Ks, but that number I think was only around for a couple of hours. And now it's 6.5, and I don't really want to play over 6.5, even though it's even money. Our buddies at Ballpark Pal, they project him for 6.2 Ks tonight in the game, and they also are projecting like 5.3 innings overall, which they run the sim so many times and it just spits out these, you know, fractions. And so 5.3 overall, and the outs prop was the other one I wanted to play. So he's basically now got to touch 6 innings or get right around that number to go over, obviously. And the 16.5 was even money. Now he's like minus 132, 135 in that neighborhood. I'm wondering at some point, because I see plus 120 on the under, is there value on him not making it, 5 2/3 in this game tonight? It's starting to get there, right? When you're seeing that plus 120 number start to populate on the underside, you're also facing a pretty good Yankees lineup as well, right? So you got to worry a little bit about how much they're going to be able to hit and if that's going to be able to make a difference too. So it's interesting. You got to be so number forward when you're looking at these bets. You cannot just look at it and say, oh, well, I think this is going to happen. I'll take it no matter what the juice is. Especially with these standalone baseball games, we do see the juice move quite a bit on strikeout props, on out props. And when it gets a little too far out of line, you have to be willing to come back on the other side if you believe that number is no longer saleable.
I'm seeing 17.5 now out there at a bunch of books. So that keeps going up and away for him. I will point out, again, he is a complete innings monster. Over 200 again last year. It was 207, had 224 strikeouts. And a good sign from him, obviously, is that his strikeout rate, he did K 9.74 batters per 9, which was one of his best rates of all time. His 26.2% K rate was up, I would say, pretty big from the previous 3 years. And for what it's worth in this game tonight, the Yankees have a similar lineup back from last year. They struck out 23.5% of the time, sixth highest overall in Major League Baseball. As far as the game goes, you mentioned earlier maybe playing the first 5 under. Have you gotten involved in the first 3 under at all? When you're looking at like early on in the season, this is a pitcher's ballpark, by the way, and you have 2 elite starters going against each other?
I've gotten involved in the first 3 unders in certain situations last year. I had not played it today. I did play the first 5 under 3.5, minus 105 out there available. I want to focus in on the starter innings here, specifically make sure I get Fried and Webb for all of the outs. So I did play a little under 3.5, first 5, minus 105. Nothing crazy for me, but obviously it's more of an action bet here than just fire away style bet for me. I do like the first 3 market. I think you have to be very careful with the first 3 market, because generally it's going to be 1.5.
Yep.
And you can get yourself in some trouble if you don't really trust both starters, or you're looking for a 2.5 with bad starters, which is what I almost kind of gravitated toward even more, is that maybe you have, 2 starters that you think the matchup is very good. I'd almost rather take the 2.5 there because you have room for error. The 1.5 can get quite scary. You need 1 base runner and a home run, and you're over already, right? But it is easier to hedge the 1.5 later inside those first 3 innings as well, because if you get to the point where you see the lineup flip and you know you're getting back to the top of the order in the 3rd inning with specifically the bottom of the 3rd, you can often play over a half run at plus money and be able to cover yourself if you don't like the situation.
Good angle for sure. Yeah, the under 1.5 runs in the first 3 tonight is plus 120. That to me looks like a fun bet because it is Fried and Webb, again, first night of the year. But to your point, again, you could get an error in the top of the first, and all of a sudden there's a guy in first, and there's a mistake by Webb. Aaron Judge, 2-run shot, your bet's dead. So the 2.5 is just much safer, and you're not going to get a 2.5 in the first 3 when you have some of the best taking on each other. But it's called sports betting and gambling for a reason, for sure. So overall, how many bets do you have on the season so far? I have a couple of questions about betting MVP markets that I want to get to as well.
Right now, I have, I believe it is 5 bets so far for the Major League Baseball season. A couple win totals, 1 divisional bet, and then a MVP and an NL winner bet as well.
Okay, state your case because I really want to get into this, and that is trying to bet anybody not named Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge to win the MVP. But you think a pitcher might be worth dabbling on for an MVP award?
Yeah, so this to me, we were talking about this over the weekend on Ready, Set, Bet. I ended up putting this into the account. If you're going to try and beat Shohei Ohtani for the MVP, I think you have to do it in a unique way. Meaning, you don't go to Acuna and go for a 50-50 season, right? You don't go to Soto, who had a career year last year, would need to improve by 10%. You go to somebody who does something better than Ohtani. And to me, that's Paul Skeens. Skeens is sitting there at 28-1. Let's say he goes out and has just a phenomenal year as a pitcher. We're talking 1.5 ERA, 20-plus wins. The Pirates make the playoffs, either the wild card or a division. You're not directly comparing his numbers to Ohtani's. His numbers will be better on the mound. And from an offensive perspective, it's just not an apples-to-apples conversation. I also think narrative-wise, that's a direction that you can look here, where this is a Pirates team that Skeens put on his back, able to make the playoffs, best pitcher in baseball. All of that is a lot more interesting than trying to chase Ronald Acuna or Juan Soto having career years and hoping Ohtani doesn't have the same year as he's had the last couple of years. So I want to try and find a different way to attack the MVP outside of a batter, because it's hard to beat Ohtani in his own game. However, Skeens is going to outpitch him this year. And if Skeens can have one of those years with a Pittsburgh team who I bet to win the NL at 35-1, who I think is a better all-around baseball team than they have been the past couple years as well. So I took a little bit of shot with Skeens here at 28-1, and I wanted to specifically go against hitters here because I think that Ohtani's going to be the best bat in baseball. So I'll take the pitching side, and I don't know how many innings Ohtani's going to pitch because the Dodgers don't need him to pitch to make the playoffs.
I like where your head's at. Let me throw kind of something similar at you when it comes to an award, and that is the Cy Young. Now, I do this almost every single year, and it's been a loser, but I swear to God, one of these days when we're alive, it's going to happen where a reliever wins a Cy Young again. It hasn't been in a long time. I believe 2003, Eric Gagne was the last time for it to happen. But some of these years, like Class A a couple years ago before he's fixing games, his numbers were so good. Like in Skubal, by the way, I remember Hinch came out in a game mid-August, said, I don't think he's going to go the rest of the way. We're going to monitor his innings. And he changed his tune because they got so hot, and then they eventually made the playoffs. If Skubal doesn't play out that year, I think Class A actually wins the award. My one buddy told me his house would have been paid for if Class A won the Cy Young that year. That's how much he was going to win. I did it with Bautista and the Orioles a couple years ago. The number's not amazing this year because we know how dominant he is. But what about Mason Miller to win the National League Cy Young? This goes back to the World Baseball Classic. Last 50 hitters against him, 0 for 50, 39 strikeouts.
You have to like the Padres. That to me is the key here. You have to believe that they can win the division or at least compete for the division. If you're going to take Mason Miller, I'm down on the Padres this year. That would be my main knock against this bet. I don't think he's going to get that many opportunities for saves. I think he's going to be, if you look at that Padres team, if they move on from anyone at the deadline, who is that player? It's most likely Mason Miller. They're not going to be able to trade the contract with Tatis. They're not going to be able to trade Machado's contract. To me, Mason Miller is one of those trade deadline guys. So you have to be in competition for the playoffs, for the division, or else you might accidentally lose that bet because he's on another team.
No, it's something that you absolutely must consider. And that would be, imagine if he's humming along. I remember Josh Hader a couple years ago had a 0.00 ERA going into like June or July. And he had, like, nobody was talking about him for the Cy Young. Like, imagine Miller has a 0.00 ERA or in that neighborhood, and he's striking out 22 guys per 9. And all of a sudden, they're going to trade him to the American League. Well, that was fun while it lasted.
Where would that arise on the bad beat level? Like if because let's say that Skeens doesn't have a good year, so all of a sudden that the Cy Young's wide open, you got Mason Miller dominating, and he gets traded to the Red Sox. How hot would you get if you had that ticket?
I mean, if he is actually down to like 5-1, and he's having the best year ever by a reliever, that would suck. Is there a world?
I can see the pain on your face already.
I know. Is there a world where Miller can win the National League Cy Young and Paul Skeens wins the National League MVP? Or that's impossible, isn't it?
That would be impossible. I mean, Skeens is going to have like a literally one of the best pitching seasons in the history of baseball to win the Cy Young.
Kershaw won the MVP. Verlander won the MVP.
Yeah, but Ohtani in that. Okay, if Ohtani doesn't have an Ohtani season, then yes, you don't need an all-time season from Skeens. If Ohtani plays to his level and is healthy throughout the season, you need an all-time season from Skeens to be able to take home that MVP award, which would make it impossible for someone else to win Cy Young.
All right, we'll continue coming up next. Is it worthwhile grabbing somebody in the American League MVP market? Because if Aaron Judge plays 145 games, doesn't he win the award again? And some very fun props that are available as well, as we have opening night tonight. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Thanks for checking out the show today on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates. Mitch Moss along with Mike Somich today. It is opening night in Major League Baseball on Netflix. Our buddy Matt Vasgersian is on the call tonight. Giants at home, slight underdogs against the Yankees. That's Logan Webb going against Max Fried. We talked about the National League MVP for a little bit in the previous segment. In the American League MVP market. And this is not even me saying that I have a strong opinion from last year. Cal Raleigh had to win the MVP. I'm not doing that here. What I'm going to point out is if another player in the American League put up those kind of numbers last year, and oh, by the way, played the catcher position at an elite level and smacked 60-plus home runs on a division-winning team, and that player was incapable of winning the American League MVP, how does anybody else win it this year if Aaron Judge stays healthy? Because he's going to put up amazing numbers, and then how do you beat the guy out? I can't make a case for betting anybody else, Mike.
It's got to be injury-related. That's really it, because we talk about how betting the MVP is a parlay, right? You need to have the season. You've got to have the stats. You also have to have the narrative. Cal Raleigh had all of that in spades last year. He had the narrative that was significantly better than Aaron Judge's. Switch hitting catcher, over 60 home runs on a Mariners team that put it all together, found a way to hit, won the division, and it wasn't enough. Like there is no narrative that you can create around Bobby Witt Jr., around Vlad Guerrero Jr. that is going to be better than what we saw from Cal Raleigh last year.
Well said.
So you almost with that assumption where it's like if Judge puts up his numbers from last year, it's near impossible to knock him off in this market. I'm surprised he's over 2-1 right now.
Yeah.
I thought this would be closer to fair value at plus 150-ish. I don't bet MVPs. I don't bet future bets that are 7-8 months out at 2.5. They're at plus 215 unless I think there's immense value in it. But if you gave me 100 Mitch bucks, that's where my money's going right now. It's on Aaron Judge in this market.
Yeah, I mean, like you, and by the way, for people who might be diving into this for the first time ever, keep this in mind. They do not announce the winners as soon as the year is over with. You always have to, like when you're tying up bets in like February or March when it comes to baseball awards, they wait until mid to late November for that award show, which is now out here in Las Vegas. So you're tying up bets for a long time, and I'm with you. Like, Judge would be the guy. I don't want to wrap up money at plus 215 when March Madness is going on still. I can't do that.
And how long is plus 215 going to be available? Let's say he comes, he would have to be scorching hot in the first month of the year to be able to drive this number down, right? This is going to be available at close to this price for at least a month and a half, probably 2 months, maybe longer. You might get a better number if he has a 10-day IL stint or something early in the season. So hard to tie it up at plus 215. If I had to make a case for anybody, it would be Pete Alonso, who's 22-1 right now. The price is at least big enough where if this Orioles team delivers on all the promise that they have, you can create the narrative around Pete Alonso being the reason. The veteran bat that gets inserted in the middle of the lineup. Let's say he hits 60 plus. Let's say he has a bunch of RBIs, and this is your division winner in the same division as Judge. I think that's how you make the case against Judge. I'm not betting it, but if I had to make a case for someone at a price, it would be Pete Alonso.
Let's point out, and good job by you during the break by locating some of these numbers that are just unbettable. I will say that, again, maybe this player wins the award. Maybe. You can't bet him at 14-1. It's Roman Anthony. Good. You noticed that during the break. I love the kid. He's awesome. I have him on my one fantasy team that I'm on. Can't bet 14-1. It's a horrible number.
Yeah, I think he's a great baseball player. The number's way too short. Same with Nick Kurtz, who I had for Rookie of the Year last year in the AL. He's sitting at 15-1 on an athletics team that's going to win what? A great season for them is 85 games?
Oh, yeah.
How is he sitting there at 15-1? You think he'd have to hit 70 home runs to knock off Judge, and he's not hitting 70 home runs he's not hitting 70 home runs 1 out of every 15 seasons. We'll put it that way, right?
Yep.
So he's another guy where love Nick Kurtz. Price is just wrong. Even if he wins the award, you got to pass on him at 15-1.
Another guy, now Junior Caminero put up great numbers last year for Tampa Bay. Again, he probably has 50-plus home run power. He came close to that number last year. The Rays are projected, it's a stacked division. Every team is good, but Tampa. They're projected by everybody to finish in last place. What has to happen for Junior Caminero to win the MVP, and 20-1 is a good number to actually have a bet on?
It would take a miracle season, right? And it would take a miracle season not only by him, but by the Rays. The Rays would have to make the playoffs, right, for him to win. The A's would have to make the playoffs for Kurtz to win.
Yep.
Roman Anthony, they'd have to win the division. But, it's just tough to see some of these numbers because they are great young players. But the hype is too far. The train has left the station already on these prices.
No doubt. Okay, some props that you can find. I think several books will offer this kind of stuff. Definitely offshore. Will we see a first-time World Series champion? The list includes, Colorado, Milwaukee, San Diego, Seattle, and Tampa. The yes is plus 425, no minus $8. It's that low because Seattle's on the list and they're the second team overall on the odds board to win the World Series. But what do you think about that?
Well, first off, if you're going to bet the yes, just bet Seattle 12-1, right?
Okay.
Just take the much better price and bet Seattle 12. I like the no. If you want to tie up it at minus 800, because I do think it's Seattle and nobody else on that list. I don't think the Brewers can win a World Series without Peralta, even if they're able to make the playoffs. That staff is going to have trouble in shorter game series without their ace. So, for me, this would be a no at minus 800, although that's not a lot of people's cup of tea to lay minus 800 for this long of a bet.
Totally agree. And I talked about how much I like Milwaukee again this year, but you're right. I would not have a wager on this team to win the National League, nor would I have a bet on them to win the World Series. We saw it again last year. They had the most wins in baseball. What happened when they played the Dodgers? They had no chance. They just, come on. Yeah. They're totally up against it.
If you like the Brewers, you like them in the division. But when you get into those series, that's where it starts to fall apart for them.
Yep. Will a 2025 last place team qualify for the postseason? The list is Baltimore, the White Sox, the Angels, the Nats, the Pirates, and the Rockies. As a note, the Blue Jays were in last place in 2024. Obviously, they made it. The yes on this is minus 250 for a team to actually get in that didn't last year or finish last place last year.
Okay, well, let's say the problem is the price here. I think the answer is yes. But once again, it just makes a lot more sense for me to look at who I like to make the playoffs and bet that specific team versus taking this potpourri of bad with the team that I think is going to be good in this spot. So Pittsburgh the Pirates, are plus 225 to make the playoffs. I'd much rather bet Pittsburgh plus 225 than get this, again, the potpourri of the Orioles, the White Sox, the Angels, the Nationals, and the Rockies with Pittsburgh at minus 250. So if you like someone to make the playoffs out of that list, just take that team to make the playoffs versus taking the minus 250 for the yes.
My God, how many teams on that list can actually make it? Rockies, no.
2.
Nationals, no.
Right? The Orioles and the Pirates.
The only other one is Baltimore. Yep.
Yep.
Will the Rockies be in first place at any point after 10 games? The yes is 9-1.
If it didn't say after 10 games, I would have been tempted. But the 10-game mark makes it very hard to want to bet this one. If you gave me like 3 games, I might even take it. Maybe they can go 2-1, start the season out there tied for first. But
if you gave me,
they will not be in the lead after 10 games.
If you gave me 5 games at 9-1, I'd probably look at that anyway.
There's the math starts mathing when you're talking about like 5 games, 3 games. It's very hard at 10 games to say that they're going to be like, if they have to start the season at least 6-4, you'd be better off just betting the money line at that point.
Yep, true. Will any player hit 60 home runs? Yes, plus 110.
That's fun.
You know, you have some good candidates, man. You have Judge, you have Ohtani, you have Schwarber. I don't think Raleigh's going to be able to repeat that, but Kurtz maybe could. You got like 3-4 guys that could pop, things go well, they could pop for 60 maybe again.
And that's a lot more fun to bet the yes at plus, or what was it? Plus money? Yeah. Plus 110 than the no at minus 150. That's a Scrooge bet at minus 150, but I understand if you want to bet it. Probably the right price, but the yes is much more fun.
All right. Follow the Money is brought to you by ProfitX. If you're not on ProfitX yet, now is the time. Sign up by April 6th. Purchase at least $25 and get a free $25. Then jump into their King of March contest. You can win free trips worth up to $5,000 or even $10,000. Just use the code VSiNMM. Make your first purchase, then learn about the contest on their homepage and start playing. No entry fee is required. Hit $1,000 in volume. You are entered at that point for the $5,000 trip. Hit $10,000 in volume, and you're in for the $10,000 trip with 10 picks at the volume, and every additional 10 wins gets you another entry. Download ProfitX. Use the code VSiNMM. Make your first purchase and take your shot at becoming the King of March. Most runs scored by any team in one game this year is 24.5.
That's a lot of runs.
That's a ton of runs. I would look at the no just to have a bet.
Yeah, it would be no or pass. I take the under 24.5 or pass on that one. 25 runs. You need a lot of things to go right and a couple of those right field arms to come into the game at some point at pitcher to get over that 24.5 number.
You have to fade about, 70 Colorado Rockies, probably home games this year? Maybe not all of them.
Maybe a couple A's games. Maybe.
Yeah. Matt Youmans on the program next. Best bets in the Sweet 16. Now, he is a Purdue alum and finds himself betting on their games more than most. We'll get his breakdown of Boilermakers and Longhorns coming up.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, time now for some best bets. Sweet 16 underway tomorrow night. And Friday, we go out to the progressive guest line. VSiN host Matt Youmans joins the program now, as he does every Wednesday at this time. Matt, thanks for the time as always. We appreciate that. As I said before the break, you are a Purdue alum. You have a good pulse on this team. You find yourself betting on their games frequently. So what have you done in this game as they take on Texas, a team that was in the first 4?
I took Texas +8 right away when this thing opened Sunday night. And I'd actually just about a half hour ago, I bet Texas +8 again. I was out at the Red Rock Sportsbook, and they got 7.5. I just bought the half point to -120. I really like this bet. Purdue's number 1 in offensive efficiency on Kim Palm right now. 22 for 38 from three-point range in 2 tournament games. And Braden Smith is going to be great in the pick and roll here against this Texas defense. But this is going to be a grinder. This is going to be a half-court game. And I think where Texas has an edge here is with their bigger guards. Dalen Swain, 6'8", Tremont Mark, 6'5". And Purdue's got smaller guards like Braden Smith and Fletcher Warrior. And C.J. Cox, who's Purdue's best perimeter defender, has a hyperextended knee. And he did not practice today. He might be limited in minutes tomorrow. That's a big deal, actually, if you know the personnel of this Purdue team, because defending Swain, Mark, Pope, that's not going to be easy. And then you got the 7-footer Bocatitis inside, who does not get pushed around in the paint. I think the Longhorns are capable of playing Big Ten style basketball. I know their defensive rating looks weak on Kim Palm at 81, but they've actually tightened things up a lot better here in the tournament, 68.3 points a game. And in a half-court grinder, I think this could be a lot like the Miami-Purdue game was over the weekend. Take the +8, 7.5 or 8, and play this under 149.
Now, I love betting teams to win their region right now. When we're down to just 4, it feels like you can get a little bit better idea of what they're going to do. Right now, inside that region, Texas 18-1. Is Texas worth a flyer at 18-1 to be able to upset Purdue and then possibly Arizona?
No, I wouldn't bet that. I wouldn't bet that at all because Texas wins this game. It's not going to beat Arizona. Well, I mean, if you're betting 18-1, you're saying, well, there's a chance Arkansas could upset Arizona, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way you would bet it. If you think Arkansas can beat Arizona, then go ahead and play it. I don't think that's going to happen. So I would not play that. If you're going to bet a team to win a region, I think you bet Houston to win the Houston region. If anything, get plus money instead of laying the 2.5 or 3 against Illinois.
Okay, so is that what you've done in that game? It's been kind of all over. Open up 2.5, bet the 3.5, and now at most books it looks like the Cougars kind of a de facto home game as well. Although again, not their home court, but a mile away from campus. But it's back down to 2.5, Matt, against the Illini.
I actually took 3.5 for the Illini, but like Mike was just saying, I bet Houston to win this region at plus money too. And I think this game's going to be a coin flip. These teams are so evenly matched, man. Cougars number 4 in defensive rating, behind Duke, Michigan, and Arizona. And then the last 3 wins, they've allowed 50.3 points against some decent offenses. They also play slow, 351 in tempo, but their guards are really good. Kingston Fleming, Manuel Sharp, and Milos Uzan are outstanding guards. Illinois obviously has really good guards too, and I think the thing the Illini can do with big guards and impressive size at all positions across the floor, they create mismatches. They spread the floor with shooters. Actually, they rebound well on the offensive and defensive end. I think this one goes down to the wire. I really do. So take the 3.5 or take Houston, which is a tougher team. I think the toughness might win out in the end. I think Houston grinds out a really narrow victory here over Illinois. An Illinois team, by the way, that's got a lot of experience losing close games.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. I took Houston plus 120 to win the region. If they're able to get past this game and you get the winner of that Iowa game, the Iowa game against Nebraska, you got 2 slower paced teams. Houston should be able to handle both of them on the defensive end. I think they coast if they're able to get past this Illinois team. Another game where you're looking toward the under, and I agree with you on this one as well. St. John's on Friday going to be taking on Duke here, and this is a Duke team still without their starting point guard, hoping to get him back if they are able to make the Final Four, but not going to play this weekend.
Yeah, Caleb Foster's not going to play, and you can tell that makes a difference because Duke's half-court offense has not been very fluid. And they've actually had to rely on Cameron Boozer, who's a power forward, to initiate the offense a lot of times. Isaiah Evans is a big key in this game. I was talking with a friend today who loves St. John's in this game like I do. And I took 7 with the Johnnies. I've got them to win this region. I've got them 90-1 to win the whole thing. Obviously, St. John's has offensive shortcomings. They shoot 33% from 3. But they got defense. They got rebounding. They've got toughness. They got everything they need to make this an ugly game that frustrate Duke and frustrate Cameron Boozer. Mitch is as a Wisconsin Badgers fan who watched the 2015 national championship game. You know, the Duke sometimes gets the calls. And what I'm concerned about with this game is it's going to be fairly officiated. And hopefully the Rick Pitino factor does mitigate that a little bit. And I was talking with Bobby Brubeck about this today because he likes St. John's a lot. I said, look, if the whistle's going to be tight, that's going to be a problem for St. John's. If they put Zuby Edge at 4 in foul trouble, I'm going to hate that. But Boozer has been to the free throw line 19 times in 2 tournament games. The officiating in the second half against TCU was criminal. Hopefully we get a fairly officiated game here. Look, St. John's is 21-1 since early January. They got everything it takes to beat Duke if they can knock down a few threes. Here's the problem. Duke's going to pack in its defense and dare the Red Storm to shoot threes. Hopefully they don't shoot too many of them and they attack the rim. But I like taking the 7, and I like this under 142. It's
an amazing region, great coaches. Atmosphere is going to be off the charts as well. And you have an opinion on the other game as well. Hurley against Izzo. UConn a small favorite. Who do you like in this game?
Well, I'm playing Danny Hurley here, and I know that Tom Izzo's got the Magic and March factor, and he's got the best point guard in Jeremy Fears, and that's the one matchup edge that Michigan State does have here. But Hurley's 15-1 against the spread the past few tournaments for a reason. And this Huskies team has holes, unlike the previous back-to-back championship teams he had. But again, Alex Karaban, Terrace Reed are playing at an extremely high level right now. Probably Karaban's playing his best ball of the season. 49 points in 2 tournament games. Terrace Reed, 41 points and 40 rebounds in the 2 tournament games. Braylon Mullins, freshman shooting guard, is really starting to mature and knock down big shots. If Solo Ball can step up and knock down some threes, which he was not doing last week, UConn's going to find a way to win this game. I like the Huskies here laying the short number or the money line.
Now, Matt, you are in the contest, the Circa College Hoops Challenge here. How are you doing so far this year? And then when are we expecting the next round of picks to come out here?
Well, the contest is led by Paul Stone right now. He's the defending champ. He won it last year. He's trying to go back to back, and he's the Danny Hurley of this contest right now. But I would say the deadline for picks is 6 p.m. tonight. So the VSiN Pro emails are going to go out. We got 15 handicappers with 5 plays for the Thursday and Friday games. One's designated a best bet. I'll tell you, I designated St. John's my best bet. It was either going to be St. John's or Texas. So the plays will be out, VSiN Pro tonight. Dustin Sweetelson's going to announce him on the plays on his show at 8 p.m. Pacific time.
All right. You're also a big Yankees fan, and we have opening night tonight as Max Fried takes on Logan Webb. Great ballpark up in the San Francisco Bay Area. Let me ask you this. There's a prop bet offshore. Will Aaron Boone be fired before the 2027 season? The yes is 3-1. Do you have any interest in betting that?
Not really, because Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone are all like the Three Stooges. They all stick together. And no matter how bad it gets, they're not going to fire Aaron Boone, apparently. Bubble Boy's got a job for life. I guess that's the way it looks. So I don't want to bet that. I think the Yankees are going to win 90-plus games. I'll tell you one bet I took on futures. I did not play. I was thinking about playing the Yankees tonight, actually. But Logan Webb. Logan Webb of the Giants. I bet him at 20-1 to win the NL Cy Young. He led the National League in innings 3 consecutive years with 200-plus, led the league in strikeouts at 224 last year. I like Logan Webb at 20-1. That's a pretty good bet.
Very good.
And on the Yankees side, I took a shot with this. I know we're about out of time, but Cam Schlittler, the young right-hander, who shut down the Red Sox in the wild card game 3 with 8 scoreless innings and 12 strikeouts. He's 50-1 at DraftKings to win the AL Cy Young. I got him at the Westgate Superbook at 300-1. And I like that Yankees-oriented bet there.
Wow, that's a little bit of a difference, I'd say. You can follow Matt on X, at Matt Youmans 24/7. Thanks, Matt. We appreciate it.
Okay, you bet. Thanks.
Download the free Upside app. Use the promo code NETWORK to start earning real cash back on gas, groceries, and dining. Stuff that you need anyway. Here's how it works. Just open the Upside app and claim a cash back offer at a location near you. Shop as usual and then earn real cash back. It's that easy. You can cash out directly into your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. With over 5 million users already earning, this is one of the easiest ways to save on everyday purchases. Download the free Upside app now. Use the promo code NETWORK to get 25 cents back per gallon on your first tank. Offers vary by user and location. See upside.com for details. When I did this earlier this year, you fire up the app, you go to it, I need gas, and it automatically recognizes where you are, and it pops up with like several gas stations, and you save this much here, this much there. It's that easy, and you get the cash back right away. In-pocket plays coming up next, and Mike has a 17-1 future bet that he likes in the National Hockey League. Find out what that is next.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I'll bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3-1 odds. Nope. 5-1. Nope. 10-1. You're on.
In-pocket plays here, pending. A couple of teams left to make the Final Four. Still up against it. Made these bets several weeks, if not months ago. St. John's 16-1, and Arkansas a little bit higher than 11-1 to make the Final Four. The sum of all number 1 seeds in the Final Four under 9.5, minus 130. I think it's still looking solid despite Florida going down. I think it could still cash if a team like St. John's gets in, but then I need like 2 other 1s and a 2 seed somehow. So I think that can maybe work. Also pending Purdue, bet this at the beginning of the tournament, Purdue to make the Elite 8 plus money on that bet, and they get Texas now. They win that game, that would be a winner. If they lose, obviously, no dice. Tonight, this is part of a kind of a hedge bet, but I also like the number. It's moved a little bit, but I put this on the VSiN picks page earlier today. Jalen Johnson is going to go tonight for Atlanta. What I'm hedging here is Atlanta, they're not losing games. This run has been insane that they're on, but I have Charlotte at massive numbers on various tickets, either, playoffs, play-in, but also to win the division. That ticket or those tickets on the division are still live if the Hawks can lose a game. But I took them plus 3.5, minus 20 earlier today at BetMGM, and there's a way here where obviously the Pistons win by 1, 2, or 3. That's the perfect storm, so that's what I'm kind of rooting for tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy how well Atlanta's been playing coming down the stretch there. 9-1 in their last 10, which is brutal considering how good Charlotte has been as they try and win that division, just 2 games back right now. A couple in-pocket plays for me here. We'll start out in Major League Baseball. 2 win totals for me. Let's go to one of the lowest and one of the highest and go the opposite directions here. White Sox over 67.5 wins on the season for me. This is a White Sox team that I think is just a little undervalued right now. They won 60 last year. They're significantly better than they were last year. I think this division is as bad or worse than they were last year. I think the White Sox are one of those teams that are going to be frisky with their specifically their lineup this season. So we'll go over 67.5 wins there. Dodgers, I took under 104.5. This is now 102.5. I would still play the under. The Dodgers won 93 games last year. The Dodgers don't care about the regular season this year. They have no interest in winning 105 games. Their interest is making the playoffs and winning the World Series. They're not worried about a regular season record here. So I'm going to go under 104.5. I would still play the 102.5 that's out there. NHL tonight. Let's take the Buffalo Sabres. Lay a goal and a half. You get plus 125 on them tonight. This is one of the 2 games that are in action here. And they're going to be taking on the Boston Bruins. Right now, the Bruins hold the final wild card spot. The Sabres currently winning the Atlantic. I think it's a big game for Buffalo, returning home after a West Coast road trip. They've been absolutely streaking, won 13 of their last 15. They keep it going tonight with a high-flying offense. Let's lay the 1.5 plus 124. And the bet that Mitch teased before the break here, I love me the Ottawa Senators here. 17-1 to win the Eastern Conference. They don't need to win the Stanley Cup, just need to get out of the East. I started betting them at plus 150 to make the playoffs. They are now minus 250. You could have gotten them plus 110 to make the playoffs 3 days ago. At that time, the number to win the East was 17-1. Now at minus 250, the number is still 17-1. That should have at least adjusted when we're changing over $2 worth of price there. This is a Senators team that's top 5 in Corsi as well as Fenwick, which are 2 of the stats that I look at when you're looking at hockey teams. You can specifically point to their struggles in goals against expected, meaning that if you simulate where the shots have come from against the goalies, they are supposed to give up a certain number of goals. They're over 20 goals more than what's expected to be given up. That's because Ullmark missed over a month of the season. He is back now. When he has played, this is an elite team that's only given up around 20, 25 shots a game. I think the Senators can come out of the East. We'll take them at 17-1. And then one play from this weekend as well. Give me Iowa and Nebraska over 131.5 in that Sweet 16 game there. If you look at the 2 previous matchups, there was 52-57 in Iowa. Both teams shot around 25% from 3. Both teams shot under 40% from 2. You fast forward to the second game these 2 teams played. The second half was 44-40. 84 points in that second half. You saw those teams shoot significantly better, back around where their season-long numbers are. If you get a decent shooting performance, I think we're flying over the 131.5. So let's take over Iowa and Nebraska in the Sweet 16 as well.
Very good. Follow the Money is brought to you by ProfitX. If you're not on ProfitX yet, well, guess what? Now is the time. Sign up by April 6th. Purchase at least $25 and get a free $25. Then jump into their King of March contest. You can win free trips worth up to $5,000 or even $10,000. All you have to do is use the code VSiNMM. Make your first purchase, then learn about the contest on their homepage and start playing. No entry fee required. Hit $1,000 in volume. You're entered for the $5,000 trip. Hit $10,000 in volume. You're in for the $10,000 trip. Win 10 picks, hit the volume, and every additional 10 wins get you another entry. Download ProfitX, use the code VSiNMM, make your first purchase, and take your shot at becoming the king of March. Mike, one question for you on betting hockey. When you look at taking a team on the puck line, you are doing that tonight with Buffalo, as you just broke down. Do you ever look at betting a team to win in regulation?
I do. It depends on what the pricing is sitting at for those two. So, like, for example, if you look at tonight's game right now, plus 120 it looks like the Sabres have taken some money. Win in regulation is minus 130. A 50 cents difference to me, not a big enough difference where I'm looking at that. Especially one of the things that's changed in hockey around the analytics is you pull your goalie earlier. So we're seeing more and more of these games where you're getting the goalie pulled. When the total is sitting at 6.5 and we have an early goalie pull, I'm much less interested in playing the 60-minute line than I am taking the minus 1.5 and taking the better price that's available. If this game was, let's say, lined at 5.5 and I was getting 60 cents, then I'm more interested in taking that line on the 66 on the regulation number because of the obviously the depressed total, so that goal is more valuable, and the fact that you're getting a better price to do so. But in this specific case where you have a 50-cent straddle and the total sitting at 6.5, I'd rather just lay the goal and a half in a game that's expected to be high scoring, and you're not getting a bunch of value in my mind in playing that 60-minute line.
Okay, good enough for me. I'm looking, by the way, right now, and this is at FanDuel on the tanking parlay tonight in the NBA. I might have to add this to the portfolio because it's a 5-teamer tonight. It's not a crazy, well, 5's enough. But some of these have been like 6 or 7 over previous days. And the one going back to Monday night did not get there. Orlando blew that game. Well, they were down pretty much all of it, but they lost to Indiana, who had lost 16 straight. If you put on the Lakers, Spurs, Nuggets, Warriors, and Blazers tonight, right now at FanDuel, that money line parlay is plus 102. Now, the Pacers, it looks like most of their guys are going to be going. But they, again, had lost 16 straight. They get the Lakers tonight. No Smart, no Hachimura. Would you be concerned about the Lakers at all, Mike?
Ironically, they would be the team I'd be most interested betting, minus the 8.5 here, as we've seen this number come down since Hachimura and Smart have officially been announced out, and we're hearing that the Pacers are going to play. This is a Lakers team that doesn't mind blowing teams out. And the Pacers also have a win recently, which I think actually helps you lean into the fact that the Lakers can have the opportunity to blow them out here. So I am not as concerned about this game as I look through it, like, I guess this is the closest one. So I think tonight is probably a good night because I would take the Lakers laying the points in this spot. So I think tonight is probably one that hits if this is the one that you're worried about. And you look through it, like, the Spurs should be able to handle the Grizzlies. You look at like the Nuggets and the Mavs, that should be an easy win for the Nuggets. The Bucks have been awful, so the Trailblazers should be able to take care of business. If this is your biggest scare and you like the Lakers like I do, I think it makes sense playing the bet.
Yeah, look at how these other teams are trending. Memphis, 4-18 in their last 22, 1-11 last 12. They have lost recent games by going back kind of in order, 39, 23, 25, and 16 points. The Mavericks are 2-13 in their last 15, 4-23 in their last 27. 2 straight losses. They were to the Kings and to the Grizzlies, 2 other tanking teams. The Nets have lost 8 straight, 2-18 last 20, 5-28 last 33. They lost by 35 at Portland on Monday. And the Bucks lost by 33 at the Clippers. They did beat the Suns on Saturday night. Actually, like you said with the Pacers, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they got to win, and now they're like, okay, we can lose a bunch of games now again.
I have the Bucks under 31.5 wins for the season. So they can win 2 more games. They've got Brooklyn twice, Memphis once, and Dallas once. Everything else is a good team. Do you think they're able to win 3 of those 4?
Ooh.
It's going to be close.
They're able, but like, what's the mindset going to be going into them?
Right. And you have those 4 games against 4 tanking teams. If we go 2-2, we're going to cash the bet. If we go 3-1, we're going to be a loser.
I mean, doesn't Adam Silver have to do something? I know he's talked about it like next year immediately. You can't have 4 months of this in the same regular season where it's like, and I get it, it's the draft and whatever, but I mean, you can't do this for a league. You can't.
I'm interested to see what you do.
Yep.
Because this is like in the NFL, the first pick is valuable, but it's not something where it's like Cooper Flagg, which changes your franchise for 15 years unless it's an absolute standout quarterback.
You're spot on.
Like in the NBA, there's so much value in those top picks because it can literally adjust the next 20 years of your franchise. It's going to be interesting to see how they possibly try and avert teams from doing this.
Well said. Great job, Mike. Thanks for sitting in today for 3 hours. That was awesome.
Anytime. Love being on with you.
Follow Mike on X at SelmaBomb18, by the way. Up next, VSiN Primetime. Femi, Will, they got you for 4 hours of live betting. Good luck with the bets tonight.